Hey folks, Duker Does here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I had a couple videos planned for you guys, but I decided to move them back to Monday because I wanted to talk about the issue of gun control in relation to the incident that occurred on February 14th of this year, Valentine's Day. First of all, my heart goes out to those families that have lost their children in that incident, and the family members that were lost as well. It's just horrible, truly horrible. I couldn't imagine it. I've got a child that's about that age. He's in high school, and I would be devastated if I lost him or anyone that he was close to over something like this. And for those of you who survived this, especially you young ones that are still attending that school, I understand that you're upset and you're angry and you're hurt because of what happened. You've lost people you loved, and you want something done about it. Well, I appreciate you wanting to step up and do what's right. But to be honest, your emotions are too raw. You're too angry and upset. You're still dealing with grief, and that's not a good mix for wanting to protest and change something, because you're not thinking clearly. You're full of anger and you're full of hate and so on and so forth. You're angry at everyone, and y'all need to chill. Deal with your grief first. Let us, the adults, deal with this. Mom and Dad, tell your kids stay home. You step up and take their place, because you're the ones who can make the change right now. They're not old enough to vote. They're not old enough to stand on the front lines and let people know exactly what needs to be done, because their emotions are on high right now. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about how dare you tell them what to do. I'm thinking as a parent, my child should not have to do that. My child should be at home mourning the loss of their loved one, rather than talking about gun control. That is our job. So let's get on that topic. Now, before I talk about what we should do about guns, I want to make something clear. This cannot kill on its own. It requires a person to handle it and pull that trigger. It requires the malice and forethought to pick up that gun, point it at a person, and pull that trigger. That is where the real problem lies. It's not in a gun. It's in the heart of the man, the person behind that gun. By the way, this isn't a real gun. It's a starter pistol. But I wanted to use it as a representation of guns in general. Now, as far as assault rifles go and guns, I am a heavy supporter of guns. I don't own any myself, but I believe that every man has the right to bear arms. And I believe heavily in the Second Amendment. And do I think our right to own a gun should be taken away? No. Do I feel that it should be more controlled? Yes. I do. So, where do I go from here? Well, before I go to the solution, there's one more thing I want to cover. Now, if we start talking about banning these, what's next? Well, this is the mode of murder according to a lot of people. Well, so is a knife. So is an axe. It's my little camping axe I just got. Not a real, it's an axe, alright? Or what about pens and pencils? And you're thinking, really? A pen? Yes. If you know how to use it, you can kill someone with it. It's no joke. I've got 30 years in the martial arts, believe you me. I know many ways to take out a person with a pen. But you got to remember, it doesn't matter what mode of murder a person chooses. It's still the heart of the person that's the problem. These cannot kill on their own. It requires someone who has enough evil, hate, and malice in their heart to physically kill someone. To actually do it. Okay? It's not these. So let's go to the solution. Gun control and fixing the heart of man. Well, gun control. People are talking about background checks. Well, as far as I'm concerned, man, we need background checks. And we need much better vetting. So what I propose is that for these, there should be a national database of individuals who commit any act of violence. They should be precluded from owning a weapon, period. Also, I think there should be mandatory concealed carry. Any American can get federally licensed to carry a weapon, so long as they go through the proper vetting process and licensing and training. And there should be a federal department to control both background checks and people getting licensed to carry a weapon. Do I think there should be armed guard? Well, first, the gun-free zone should be, that bill should be eradicated. They need to do away with that gun-free zone crap. And that was your old Democratic buddy, Joe Biden, who got that bill passed. That needs to be taken away. Along with that, should we have guards at our schools? Yes. And there should be money set aside for those schools to afford that. If they cannot afford it, then they should allow teachers to get licensed to carry a weapon, and I do believe those teachers should be rewarded for getting that license. Teachers are underfunded, underpaid. They need new everything. New books, new desks, new pens, pencils, so on and so forth. If we can't give them that, at least give them a benefit for getting trained to carry a weapon. Let them have an extra incentive. They give them a little money, throw it their way, so that way not only can they afford to protect our children, but they can afford to educate our children. Now, what else can we do? Well, I think we should also adopt certain laws other countries have. Like in Canada, guns such as sporting rifles and shotguns are considered a tool for hunting. So people are allowed to own them and have them. When it comes to guns like snub-nosed 38s or uh, um, any handgun in general, really, when it comes to those kind of weapons and semi-automatics, in Canada, they're allowed to take them to the gun range, and that's it. They can't take them anywhere else. They're allowed to transport them from their home to the gun range, and they're allowed to use them at the gun range. That's it. Now, when it comes to assault rifles, many of those guns are considered illegal. Not illegal to own, but illegal to use. In fact, in Canada, if you own an automatic rifle, you can't even take it out of your house. Period. Maybe we need to adopt something like that. And their laws go a lot deeper about what models and so on and so forth fall under these laws. But they're pretty stringent on it. And it's something we should really consider. Now to the heart of man. How do we fix the heart of man? Well, to begin with, a lot of these men who conducted these heinous acts of violence, many of them were on psychotropic drugs in committing these acts. Nicholas Cruz, the shooter at the Parkland, Florida High School, which is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Sorry, it's hard for me to remember that. That's a big name for a high school. He was on, I believe, antidepressants. Jeffrey Dahmer, one of America's most well-known serial killers. He was on Xanax. The gentleman who did the shooting in 1966 at the Texas State University bell tower, he was on antidepressants. Where am I going with that? Well, if these drugs have mind-altering ingredients that are causing these men to act in this way, then we really need to look at how those drugs are made and administered. And we need to really seriously consider how we do pharmacotherapy. And if you don't know what that is, that's where treating mental diseases with drugs, which I think does not make sense, because when you're taking these drugs, it actually changes your chemical makeup. So it can cause a shift in your brain to act another way. All right. 2, here in America, we used to have a moral code. Families live by the golden rule, and if you don't know what the golden rule is, and that is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We used to have a culture of a moral code where we taught our children right from wrong. To say please, thank you, yes ma'am, no sir, have manners, have respect for the individual, each other. That is all gone. The other day I was at a supermarket and a lady walked right in front of me, didn't even say excuse me. Almost ran into me. Not a word, just walked on by. Those are the things that need to change in this country. We also need to change how things are geared toward our children. Games, movies, music, pop culture. We need to put a rein on that stuff, because our kids are seeing things they shouldn't be seeing. And where does that lie? On the parent. We need to start, picking up our game, doing a little bit better. I'm just as guilty. Believe you me, I made some mistakes as a parent. And I see the fruits of that in my own children. And if you take a hard look, you can see where you might have went wrong as well. And that's what we need to change. In this country, we need to bring the family unit back into our country. And more importantly, and this is me because I'm a Christian and I believe that our country needs God. We've taken that moral code as far as, we used to have a belief system that was Christian. Our laws reflected that. Our public buildings reflected that. Our schools reflected that. We used to have prayer in school. We used to have the Pledge of Allegiance in school. All that's gone. And more importantly, we had corporal punishment in school. I just didn't get a swat when I got home. I got one at school when I misbehaved. Sometimes, I was a little heavy-handed, but you know what? I turned out fine. And if we controlled who did the corporal punishment, hey, there we go. You can ask your boss, hey, I need to take 30 minutes off to go deal with my kid. And the company should allow you to keep being a parent. Because being a parent doesn't stop while you're at work. You're a parent 24/7. And last but not least, politicians. I saved you guys for last because you're the ones that are our biggest problem in getting this solved. You all keep stirring the pot on the same issues and do nothing about it. And this is one of them, gun control. Quit sitting on your hand to get something done. Quit looking out for what you're going to get out of it. For once, do something for your fellow man. Quit the bipartisan BS and get to work. And quit looking for things that aren't there. The man that is in that seat is doing a damn good job. And he needs you guys to quit dragging your heels and get to work and help him get this nation back to where it needs to be. And yes, I'm talking about Trump. Folks, this is Duker Does. I'm glad you took the time to hear me out. I was a little long-winded, but these things need to be said. Because if we don't do something now, you can just imagine how worse it's going to get. So this is Duker Does saying do good and deuces. Bye-bye.